All right, good afternoon. Got a few things to run through before we get stuck into the quiz. Hopefully you've all had a chance to have a look at the quiz and pencil in some answers and some of you have been able to work out how to get onto Slido, but we'll get into that just shortly. So we've got some milestones this week. A couple of first Divi 1 men's games. I'm going to give my lad Cody a go. Really conscious all along of not playing favourites, but he's dedicated himself to training on a regular basis. He's certainly performed well at Div 2 and Div 3 level. So he's going to be umpiring his first Div 1 men's game this week in a 3-umpire system. So well done to Cody. Very proud of him. And in the goals, Daniel Bartlett's going to have his first Div 1 men's game. So well done to Cody and Daniel. Got some other milestones. 50 games up for Seamus Coombe in the goals. 200 games for Chris Conlon in the field. And a big 300 for Liam Binning. I wouldn't have thought Liam is old enough to get 300 games, but there you go. So Liam has been with us for a number of years, does a couple of games each week. And yeah, it's a great achievement. So well done to those guys. Now, I just wanted to run through the issue of umpire dissent and abuse. We've had a few reports of late, and some certainly warranted. But I want to just remind everyone about, I guess, there are different levels of umpire abuse and dissent, and while we're not ever going to get total consistency in how we deal with it, I just want to give you some guidelines. So I guess there are going to be some times where there's straight out red warranted. Certainly if there's any vilification, racial, religious, or sexual vilification, obviously the homophobic slurs are been something we've concentrated on the last year or so, but anything along those vilification lines becomes an automatic red. Those really over the top, extreme, loud, abusive comments that everyone turns around and goes, whoa, that's a time for red cards to be used. And probably the more common way of a player getting a red card is if we do give them opportunities to backtrack and they keep going and it keeps escalating. So, we can use warnings, we can pay free kicks, we can give 25s, we can use yellow cards. And if we go through all those stages and it keeps going on and on and on, despite our attempts to help try and calm things, then red cards can sometimes result. So while it's very easy for us to get our back up, I just don't want us jumping straight to a red for one-off comments. We've had to downgrade a couple lately. And I understand that the players are sometimes inappropriate in their communication, but red isn't our first resort in a lot of cases. So I reckon we can safely pay a free kick every time you get some sort of umpire abuse. So there's a difference between umpire abuse and umpire dissent. So when they're questioning and they're a little bit frustrated, that doesn't always result in a free kick. But if it's a clear, direct abusive comment at you, you should probably always pay a free kick, at least. The dissent side of things, and it can be at times just a little bit overwhelming and you're getting it from everyone. You can give warnings to the whole team, if you like, through the captain, or just make it clear to everyone that any more dissent, you can start paying free kicks. But the warnings can often set the scene, and there'll be times where it does escalate. There are going to be some circumstances where you can just use your communication skills to try and de-escalate the situation rather than escalate. And the league's going to be really strong in supporting umpires that do take action and give penalties to players. The time where the league won't back an umpire up is where the umpire contributes to the situation by giving comments back and, communicating inappropriately. And that's just the old saying, take the high road, talk to them as you want to be talked to rather than sometimes how you're being talked to. Back in some people will say the good old days, you could give as good as you got. But that's not the case these days. So we just have to be really conscious of that. And there are going to be some occasions, like on the weekend, where a coach has gone into a change room and let rip. Just being in a change room is totally inappropriate, and so that's where a red card was given in that circumstance. So there's just different situations, but just be conscious of not always just resorting straight to a red card. And there will be times, as I've gone through, but there are lots of different ways we can deal with that dissent and abuse. Any questions or comments on any of that sort of stuff? There's a couple of the questions in the Zoom, which will go into that a bit more. All right. For the first and second year field umpires this Wednesday night, we're going to have a skill drill session, which I'll take. So I encourage you to bring along your whistle if you're a first or second year, and there'll be some skills to go through instead of doing the running training. This Wednesday night sees the annual general meeting for the Umpire Association, which will be held in the club rooms at Adelaide Uni from 7 o'clock. So it'd be appreciated if umpires could stay back and be part of that. It shouldn't go for too long. That's their AGM this Wednesday night. All right, before we get on to the quiz, are there any questions or comments for anything that happened on the weekend that anyone wants to raise? All right. Let's get on to the quiz. Hopefully you've all had a chance to open up Slido. If not, you've got the quiz on you. And let's see if I can get this technology working. Just bear with me. Okay. All right. So if you pull out your phones, or if you've got the Slido working, put your answer in for the first one. We've got the questions about a men's C grade game. So one club wants to provide a boundary umpire. It's not compulsory at C grade level. And the other club does not. What's the best course of action for you before the game, setting it up? Do not start the game until the other club finds a boundary umpire. Let the club with the boundary umpire know that you will run the game with no boundary umpires. Number 3, start the game with no boundary umpires on one side. Throw the ball up if there is a need for a throw in on that side, and let the boundary umpire on the other side throw the ball in if needed. And number 4, let the boundary umpire run one side, but throw the ball up if there is a need for a throw in on both sides. So pop your answer in and into Slido, and let's see what we get. And I'll see if I can get it working. Hopefully you've all had a chance to get that in. All right. Looks like most got it right. It's number 3. So start the game with no boundary umpire on one side, throw the ball up if there's a need for a throw in on that side, and let the boundary umpire on the other side throw the ball in if needed. If you've got any questions or clarification on any of this, feel free to unmute yourself before we get to the next question. And feel free to jump in before we give the answer too. So, all right, next one. Okay. A player kicks the ball and it bounces across the boundary line. The field umpire and boundary umpire communicate with the field umpire certain it was a deliberate kick, and the boundary umpire is certain that it was an accidental kick. What should the field umpire do? So, pop your answer in. Any questions on that one? Tripper, unmute yourself, mate. Good to have you on the Zoom.
How you going, all right?
Yeah, going well. What'd you put for that one?
I did a throw in. If you're not sure, we'll throw it in, eh?
Okay, I thought we'd get that. Not the right answer though, but
I suppose as a field umpire, you overrule everything if If you're
Yeah.
certain,
Yeah.
Like if I was umpiring and I was definitely certain, I would pay the free kick. But if I wasn't sure, and
Yeah.
the boundary umpire was adamant, would throw it in.
Yeah. So I guess the point in asking this question was to get the message across that last possession in our footy is a field umpire's decision. So the boundary umpire, really all they should be doing is indicating, like it would be if there was no last possession, just whether it's if the ball has rolled out or whether it's out in the full. Now, we wouldn't really need to come in and actually have that discussion if we were certain it was a deliberate kick. We just go in and pay it. You'd only have that discussion if you weren't too sure. And that's where, I can see why you said that Tripper, I used to call him Michael, but I guess if you were uncertain, then you would just throw it in. So if there was that uncertainty, then throw in would be the answer. Okay, so I think most put last possession there, so all good. Okay, question number 3. A player kicks a ball up the ground and an opposition player who is on their own can easily take possession of the ball but chooses to let the ball roll over the line instead. What's the correct decision? So pop your decision in. I'm doing it myself just to make sure the system works. Mick Samet, you want to unmute yourself? Can you get that unmute working? You still muted? No. No, still muted, mate. No, never mind. We'll have to work on that, working out how to unmute yourself. Barry?
Oh, sorry, got it now, Cole.
Oh, it's all right. No, don't worry about it, Barry. Yeah, Nick?
Yeah, I'd play a free kick for last possession because they're under no obligation to pick the ball up.
Yeah, correct. Spot on. There have been times over the years where there's been a little bit of confusion because of the instruction for if a player shepherds the ball across the line, the player when the ball goes across the line. But in this case here, it's where the player's on their own. So if they're shepherding and stopping a player from touching the ball, then it's a throw-in. But in this case, all they're doing is allowing the ball to roll out, and that should be a free kick for last possession. All right, next one. During general play, the boundary umpire blows the whistle. And now, this, I've had to shorten the question on this slide here, but you got the full one on the sheet. This is actually a real life scenario in a grand final. Barry, you want to unmute yourself? Barry Lewis? Yeah. No, I know you have poor internet, so maybe. No reason I was going to ask. Barry's a big Northern fan. You right there, mate?
Right, yeah.
Does this ring a bell? This scenario?
There's a.
Does it? Do you, when you read it, did it seem familiar? The reason is you're a big Norwood supporter. This happened in last year's Samford Grand Final, last quarter. It happened on the outer wing, right near where I was sitting, and the ball rolled out of bounds. The boundary umpire on that side called for a throw-in. The play continued. The field umpires didn't realise that the boundary umpire had blown the whistle. Big crowd. Ball was kicked across the goals. Yep. It went out of full on the other side. And it caused some discussion from all the people around me because they saw what was happening. So just everyone put their answer in, and there was actually a clarification from the AFL on this one after the game. The Samford umpiring department discussed it and got some direction from the AFL umpiring department. So I've got the absolute correct answer here. What did you think, Barry?
Free kick for out of bounds on the full.
and what's your rationale there?
Well, because the umpire, the umpire didn't know what the boundary umpire had done, and so there's another, like when another free or another infringement takes place between that going out on the full, or going out of bounds, and another infringement or another part of the game plays, the second part takes precedence.
Mate, that's why you've done so many games. You know these blue mooners. Spot on. So, yes, the correct answer in this scenario is the free kick for out of bounds on the full. So all the people around me were going nuts because the boundary umpire initially was blowing his whistle, waving his hands in the air. When they realised that it had gone over the other side and gone out of the full, they stopped chasing the field umpire. And initially, I was thinking that I think it was Ben Sieben. Those that know Ben, he's a bit of an introvert. I actually thought that he'd gone into his shell and hadn't followed up when he should have. So I didn't really know the rule either. But yeah, the correct answer is exactly as Barry described it, because the field umpires hadn't called for a throw in there and it had continued on, and the subsequent free kick for out of bounds on the full was paid. That second free kick overrides the first one. So, yeah, interesting scenario.
We're just going to tack on there too, Cole.
Yeah.
If the ball didn't go out in the full and it went through for a score, the score would actually be annulled, and then the throw-in would actually take place.
Oh, nice one. I mean, we're talking real blue moon scenarios, but that's a good point. Good point. Weird. That's a weird anomaly, isn't it? That's strange. But anyway, that's the that was one that when I discussed it and heard about it last year, and the result of it, I was like, next time I have a quiz, I'm going to use it. All right, a bit of a reminder for everyone. When does the umpiring manager need to be notified about a red card? Pop your answer in. Hopefully, I would assume all of you guys who are on the Zooms and read my coaching notes will get this one right. We should get 100% here, I hope. It's actually written in Officials HQ too, so just give it a moment to get that in. All right. I won't ask anyone. This should be fairly self-explanatory. Let's see what we got. We didn't get 100%. Okay, so the answer is, and I need those that put in the other answers to take note here. It doesn't have to be entered immediately. It certainly needs to be entered after you've spoken to me. So I've had so many times over the years where there's been errors in inputting details into Officials HQ. The recent instruction is you must speak to me before you put the details in, and I don't care if it's later that night or even the next morning. I'd much rather get the details correct and entered properly than quickly and we stuff it up and I have to fix it up on Monday morning. All right. Next one. Okay, the even up rule applies during the minor round, and it will never apply in the major round in the Adelaide Footy League games, only the minor round. For which scenario? When you've got for all games, Adelaide Footy League, all men's C and women's games, all men's C and B grade, and all women's games, or all games except for A grade games where there are B grade games. So just pop your answer in. Mark Goods. You unmute yourself.
I was unsure, but I went men's C grade and all women games.
Okay. We'll learn something here. Anyone confident they know the one here? Know the answer here? Brendan Smiles, you're normally pretty good with this type of stuff, aren't you? What do you reckon?
All right. I said the same as Goodsy, to be honest.
You're going to learn something too.
Yeah, two NAB bankers, ex-NAB bankers agreeing on something.
Yeah, there you go. All right. The correct answer is the last one. So it is, we've got a big mix here. So the answer is it's basically all games except for when you've got A grade games, when you've got a B grade. So if you think of the women's games, we've only got B grade games in Div 1. So Div 1 A grade games for women do not have the even up rule. But all the other grades do because there's no B grade games. And of course, for men, they've all got B grade games in A grade. So you're not going to have the even up rule in any of the men's A grade games, but you will in the B and C grade. Does that all make sense? Okay. So yeah, for those that put all Adelaide Footy League games, make sure we don't do it in an A grade game, please. Okay. Well, let's get on to some examples of what happens with the even up rule. So a team has 15 players where the even up rule applies, so the other team is made to play 15 players. With 2 minutes to go in the quarter, a player on the team with 15 players receives a yellow card. What should the umpire do? Tell the other team they must take a player off immediately, so both teams play with 14 players the next 10 minutes of playing time. Tell the other team at quarter time break they must play with 14 players for the first 8 minutes of the second quarter. Allow 15 versus 14 while the player with the yellow card is off the ground. Suggest to both clubs that the game ends, and if clubs agree, put all the details in officials HQ. So just pop your answer in. Andre, what would you do here?
I would say it's the first one.
Okay. You're going to learn something here. Matt Harris, you would never. Oh, you would have to worry about this for C grade. I'm just going to say for A grade you won't. But what do you reckon?
I went with number 2, but because there's a yellow card, I'm thinking it could also be number 3.
Your second guess is right.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So certainly for injuries, we would do the even up, but for a yellow card, that's the problem of the team that's got the yellow or red card. So we don't even up on that case.
15 versus
So most got that. All right. Okay, next one. Game continues and player comes back on the second quarter. A few minutes later, player on the same team is stretched off for the game ending injury. What should the umpires do?
Game continue.
I just had to mute Andre. He's talking to himself. All right. Pop. Ian Wilson, what do you reckon?
It's either 1 or 2, I think. I went 2, Colin.
Okay, well done. For evening up, the rule is at the next break. So you don't have to do it immediately. It's at the half time they would be told they need to even up then. All right. Game continues and the play and during the third quarter, another player on the same team suffers a game-ending injury, reducing the team to 13 players. What should the umpires do? All right, and let's see what you say. That's what you say. There will be some of you think you're hardly done by what answer I end up giving here. I have mentioned this on a Zoom in the past. Mark Cosned. You want to unmute yourself? or Jamie Thompson.
Yeah. Are you there? No,
Hi, Mark.
Yep. Hang on. I don't even know what I went with in my answer. Tell both number 4.
Okay, so that's what I thought we'd get a few people saying that, because strictly by the rule you can't play
That's right.
with less than 14. However, what I would want in this scenario is number 3.
Okay.
Allow 14 versus 13 for the rest of the game. Put all the details in the league in Officials HQ. Let them play. Let's not just, unless of course both clubs say we don't want to play anymore. Then, but we don't want to suggest that. Let's just say let's play the rest of the game. 14 versus 13. Put the details in the league, and the league will determine the outcome. But they're out there to play the game, and if they want to continue, just let them. Make sense?
Yeah, just a quick one. Remember,
Yeah.
I emailed you. Does the even up rule apply if it's not for an injury?
Yes.
Sorry, say that again.
Oh, I had a game a couple of weekends ago where 2 players left because one had to go off
Yep.
3/4 at half time, and the other one had to go off as he was coaching the Bees.
Yeah.
And we still made them even up. Is that correct?
It's a really good question. And I did send it to John Kernahan, who's he's been a little bit preoccupied. So I'll get back to you. It's a good question. We can all I'll make sure we talk about that next week on the Zoom.
All right, thanks.
Yeah. Good question though. I'd like some clarification on it too.
But Colin, but what's the situation if it's 14-12? So there's another injury. So
no,
just
keep
common
playing.
sense.
Just keep playing. Just
Keep playing. Okay.
unless the the coach, which sometimes happens, says we don't want to play anymore. You know, we've got too many injuries. We just want to finish it, rather than us be the ones that finish it. What would probably happen is you play it out, and the league would determine that the score at the time of that happening would be the final score. But I just think, yeah, let them play if they want to in that scenario. But all right. When a red or yellow card is given, when a red or yellow card is given, a 25-meter is paid when? Yeah, I missed a word there on the slide. So is it every time when a card incident is a dangerous tackle, when the card incident occurs after a free kick or mark's been paid, or never? It's amazing how often people want to ask about this when you give a card. The answer is not the second one. For those that are umpiring Sanford Juniors, that second one is the case. They've given a direction to their umpires whenever there's a dangerous tackle to pay 25. That's not the case with us. The right answer for us is, which most of you got, when the card incident occurs after a mark or free kick has been paid. So the mark or free kick's paid, then the incident occurs where you're giving a yellow or red, and therefore at that stage you give a 25 for there. So yeah, it's not like some people think the moment we give a card we have to give 25. Okay, a player receives a yellow card, a second yellow card in the same game. What happens next? Umpire shows a yellow card, tells the player to go off the ground for another 10 minutes. The player will receive 1 game suspension the following week. Umpire shows a yellow card, tells the player to go off for the ground for the rest of the game, waits until the replacement player comes on before recommencing play, and the player receives a 1 game suspension the following week. The umpire shows a red card, tells the player to go off the ground for the rest of the game, waits until the replacement player comes on before recommencing play, and the player will receive a 1 game suspension the following week. Umpire shows a red card, tells the player to go off the ground for the rest of the game, tells the team I must play a player short for the next 10 minutes, and the player will receive a 1 game suspension for the following week. All right. Pop your answer in. Correct answer is the last scenario. So show the red card, tell the player he's got to go off for the rest of the game, tell the team they must play a player short for the next 10 minutes, and the player will receive 1 game suspension the following week. That is what should happen when the player gets a second yellow card, which the majority of you got. All right. Player is injured in the hands of the trainer. The player leaves the field outside the official interchange bench. What does this mean for the player? Nothing, as the players with the trainer. Player must stay off 20 minutes before being able to return to the field. Player cannot return for the remainder of the game. Player cannot return to the field for the remainder of the game is given a red card. Running out of time, so I need to flip through these pretty quick. All right, all the answers in. Still got a few putting their answers in. Okay. The actual correct answer here is our rules, our regulations allow the player to leave outside the interchange bench when the hands of the trainer, but they must stay off for at least 20 minutes before being able to return to the field. So that is something I was taught last week from John Kernahan. So
Funny story, Colin. On the C grade game I did Saturday at Adelaide Uni, the guy was going off the ground with the trainers. I'd already let him be replaced, and then the ball went near the guy that was with the trainer, and he pushed the trainer aside and went and got the footy.
Yeah, so I would say
I just paid a free kick straight away.
Well, no, the error there is you restarting play too soon.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so you need to make sure that they're off the ground before you recommence play.
Okay.
Yeah.
But with that ruling, Colin, doesn't it depend on what kind of injury it is as well? I mean,
no.
Yeah, he was just
if they come off in the hands of a trainer outside the interchange bench, they're allowed to do it, but they have to be off for 20 minutes. Hey, I've got to keep moving. We're not going to get through all these answers otherwise. All right. Now, this actually happened in an A-grade game this year. A player is sent off with a blood rule and leaves the field out on their own outside the official interchange bench. What does this mean for the player? So when I got told about this and what the umpire did, I wasn't sure it was the right thing to do. It was actually Jeff Brown, who umpired with Chris Rash. It was at Kilburn. And the Kilburn were playing Walkerville, it was. No, not Walkerville, it was Westminster. And the Westminster player being sent off with a blood rule, didn't go through the interchange bench. Brownie made him leave the field for the remainder of the game, which is the correct answer. All right, so next one. Loud complaining from the about umpiring decisions, not abusive, heard from the coach's bench. What's the best course of action? Ignore it, get on with the umpiring the game. Just a hint, don't do that. Issue a warning if it has again, pay a free kick. 3, pay a free kick immediately. 4, issue a yellow or red card against the offender and pay a free kick. Answer on this one. Yeah, as most of you got, issue a warning if it pays again, pay a free kick. This time there's an abusive comment directed towards the umpire, not excessive, heard from the coach's bench. What's the best course of action? Ignore it, get on with the game, issue a warning. If occurs, pay a free kick immediately. Issue a yellow or red card against the offender and pay a free kick. Answer here, pay a free kick immediately. Well done. Most of you getting that right. This one here, there's an over-the-top abusive comment directed towards the umpire, heard from the coach's bench. What's the best course of action? Ignore it, get on with the game. Issue a free kick if it pays it, pay. And if it occurs again, pay a free kick immediately. Issue a yellow red card against the offender and pay a free kick. And yeah, right, answer here is what most of you got right. Yes, use a card in that scenario, over the top, excessive. So a card and a free kick. This actually happened a couple of weeks ago. A coach is heard by the umpires to call out a homophobic slur to an opposition player during a game. What's the right course of action? Stop the game, inform the coach who reported the league and record all details of the game after official HQ. Stop the game. inform the coach they must leave the coach's bench immediately. Ensure the coach does not enter the ground at the breaks and record all details in the game. In official HQ, let the game continue. Inform the coach at quarter time break they must stop coaching the remainder of the game and record all the details in the game. In official HQ, let the game continue. Record all details after the game. Official HQ. So the correct answer is, which actually happened. Josh Greenwood did a great job here. Stop the game, inform the coach that they must leave the coach's bench immediately. Ensure the coach does not enter the ground at the breaks and record all details after the game. Official HQ. I don't know why we're getting marks over here. Anyway, never mind. So yes, it is the second one. When judging for opportunity in a Div 6 women's game compared to Div 1 men's game, no difference. Umpire should err on the side of the ball player. More in Div 6 women's game. Umpire should err on the side of playing hold the ball in the Div 6 women's game. Depends on the weather. Quick one there is, there is no difference. Same in all grades. Which field umpire has not won the Rex Lambert Award twice? If you haven't done the research on this here, you're guessing. Throw your guess in. We've got about a minute left. The answer is actually Sam Colella. And the last one, where will this year's end of season presentation to be held? Hopefully most of you get this one right. And the answer is the Hilton Hotel. All right. Hope you enjoyed that. I'll send out the answers if you want to have a look through it. If you've got any questions or any comments, we can talk through next week. But we are going to run out of time now. Yeah, we'll probably do another one at the end of the year just to mix things up, a bit different. Hopefully you enjoyed that. These Blue Mooners don't come along often, but fun to discuss at times. So hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you on Wednesday night for the training and then the AGM next week. It was the last week before the bye round. So thanks for everyone's helping cover all the games. I know a lot of you are doubling up, not necessarily wanting to. So thanks for all your help so far this year. It's been much appreciated. See you on Wednesday.